New HDB income and grant assessment. Deep discount on high-end condo. Hi everyone, my name is Casey from Home Quarters and this is Singapore Property Market Update for June 2023. Let's first start with the general news. Some economists brace for technical recession this year, even as MTI says otherwise. MTI is expecting a pickup in H2, even though quarter-on-quarter in H1 is expected to remain flat. Other economists, however, point to a deeper than expected manufacturing sector contraction and slower construction sector growth in Q1 as possible, pointing to an impending technical recession. MAS policy change still not expected as Singapore headline inflation ticks up in April. Core remains flat. While both were higher than expected, it is unlikely to be enough for MAS to change its policy. Latest measure could choke supply of prime freehold collective sales, JLL, which is already seeing a slowing rate of success as compared to the 2017-18 boom. Developers have become cautious in the face of heightened risk from 3 rounds of curbing measures, economic uncertainty and pressed profit margin, resulting in only about 1/3 of the current cycle collective sales succeeding. URAI's rezoning of land parcel in 6 areas of housing. Thousands of new public and private housing could come up in future high-density projects, including in areas like Lavender, Woodlands North, Whampoa, Kallang, Jalan Jurong Kerchu and Old Jurong Road. Home Quarters thinks that the new curve, which includes a 3 to 30% hike in additional buyer stamp duty, have targeted foreigners most, which have tended to congregate in prime district, where they are now disincentivized to join a collective sales due to a much higher cost of replacement property. Higher development risk, construction costs, and recent gross floor area redefinition affecting saleable area have lowered developers' willingness to pay for collective sales site. Analysts are even predicting some overpriced collective sales projects that have secured a mandate and launch will likely fail. Developers are therefore more likely to favor government land sale, particularly in the more affordable option in the suburb and leasehold sites. Alright, let's turn our attention to HDB. HDB resale flat price up 1.1% in April. 5-room units see biggest rise. Number of units sold down by 4.3% from March, but analysts says market are still resilient. HDB launches nearly 7,000 flats. Approximately 5,500 of them BTO units in 5 housing projects and 1,500 of them sales of balance flat on offer, with waiting time of less than 4 years, located in Bedok, Serangoon, Kallang Whampoa and Tengah. Changes in HDB grant approach, income assessment period. PRs married to citizen will also enjoy housing grant, income to be assessed over 12 months. Home Quarters thinks that alongside the introduction of the HFE and the recent change in assessment period and approach, there will probably be increased demand in the resale HDB segment, pushing the price and volume up. The essential occupier will get half of the CPF grant amount but will not be able to use the grant amount if they are not the owner, nor can they use it to buy private property in the future. The grant amount will stay then in the CPF OA and earning interest. As HDB is an own stay property, take advantage of these new guidelines to get into a suitable unit. Now, for sellers taking advantage of this, contact us at 8809-2889 or DM us to systematically sell your home today. Let's move on to private. Condo units resold falls by 70.9% in April, prices up 1.2%. Developer sales, high borrowing costs, and limited resale stock among reasons cited. New private home sales hit 7 months high in April despite ABSD rate hike. The ABSD rate hike and other cooling measures are not expected to discourage local buyer, especially first-time buyer, with the price gap between the prime district and city fringe closing. The appeal of prime property will increase even more. More wealth may turn to Singapore commercial real estate on ABSD high, but high net worth investor would completely shunt buying home here. Market Watcher says. Housing, commercial plot released for sale, residence site in Woodlands, Lorong 1 Toa Payoh, land in Punggol for commercial use. Analysts sees pent-up housing board upgraded demand for the 2 leasehold 99 years residential site, which can yield a total of 1,125 residential units and are located in estate with limited new private home supply. Singapore High Court grant sales order to Chuan Park's 890 million en bloc sale. No evidence that agreement was not arrived at in good faith. Judge concludes. Developers have dangled discount to sell some upmarket condos. Developers of prime core central region project have become more flexible when it comes to pricing as unsold rates in the region remain high. The discounts are also likely in response to the additional buyer stamp duty deadline later this year to clear off all unsold units, as well as to offset the higher ABSD for foreign buyers. Private residential rent may soften in H2 2023. Savills. With greater resistance from the tenant, landlords are showing more flexibility with the weakening demand and a new completion expected this year to bolster supply. Overall, private rentals are expected to soften. New uncompleted private homes may be a better buy than resale unit amid high interest rate. It can pay off financially for buyers to choose a new uncompleted home as they need not draw down their home loan as quickly or fully as buyer of the resale unit. Home Quarters thinks that another plus of having more time before fully drawing down a home loan is that interest rate may peak and then soften subsequently as inflation gets under control and economic growth slow. With the various headwind of economic slowdown and inflation happening, the forecast is mixed between the price and volume of private sales moving ahead. Period of uncertainty like this is the best for investors to jump in to reap profit. If you are keen to find out where we think are opportunities in the market right now, do contact us at 8809-2889 or drop us a DM on all our social media platform at HomeQuartersSG. Alright, so that's it for June 2023 Singapore Property Update. If you are keen to work together with Home Quarters to help you systematically expose your unit for sale or systematically purchase your dream home or profitable investment, text us at 8809-2889 or head over to homequarters.com.sg. My name is Casey from Home Quarters. Subscribe, follow and like us on YouTube, Instagram and Facebook at HomeQuartersSG. And remember, call Home Quarters and start packing.